last time on Bosses, what if DK and Charles met a unique individual, slightly scared, slightly curious. They actually aid this dude in the need or in the needing of help. So they got aid from the said individual. They questioned his methods, but at the end of the day, you cannot deny that his methods were effective, efficient, and ready. This being said, they learned a lot from this man. Charles picked up a couple new skills, while DK learned a few extra little bits of things. But this is where the flashback's about to end and where things get a little gruesome. As they're heading back, DK didn't bring his dog on the adventure. Charles actually was able to have his horse with him somehow. Even Charles was slightly confused, but his horse and dog was very loyal. And this is where things turn for the worst. As they were traveling back with minimum supplies, but what was necessary, they had more food than they needed. More food than carried? Not entirely. But they did fall into a ravine, a cave system, as you may say. But as they fell, it was okay, right? They didn't die. They had good armor, so they were protected. But Jumper, Charles' horse, didn't make the fall. Charles was riding the horse and it fell. And all you could hear is the noise of the horse dying. Charles broken and booted and crying. My horse, my horse. We've had better horses. We have better horses at home. Horses that can jump twice as high. Horses that are twice as fast. Horses that have better health that would have survived the fall. But this horse was special to Charles. He found this horse in the wild after some zombies were trying to eat it. He felt a connection to this horse. DK knowing how Charles feels about the horse, but couldn't utter a single word due to the severity of the situation. No, he couldn't just say, get over it. So he led his friend to his own devices. Eventually, they were able to keep it moving and fight off all the monsters that spawned. They found an abandoned mine shaft and was able to get some good materials from it and get loot. So eventually, it was able to make it to the surface. But by the time they did, a few nights had passed, and it was darker than any other night. No torch for many mile radius. But they knew they were close to their house, using their gavination. Using their map system. And their compasses. They were able to realize where they was and how to get to where they needed to be. But there was one problem. There were skeletons, zombies, spiders, creepers, endermen. Everywhere. Don't get me wrong, they had equipment, they had goodies. But to fight all these off at once wasn't an easy task. Charles was shot by a skeleton, quicker than he could react to, but his armor protected him. He used his shield to block a skeleton and a zombie from behind him, while DK fights off a herd, and this is where DK jumping fest begins. 5 creepers behind him. Why is it always 5? Who knows? Because I'm telling the story and I'm freestyling a little bit. 5 creepers come up. DK knows he's gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt. This will take some damage. But he immediately puts up his shield, puts down some buckets of water, protects himself from most of the damage, but he still gets knocked back into a tree. Meanwhile, Charles is still trying to fight. He's still fighting off, but with his dog, he's able to keep off some of the skeletons. So the skeletons are coming, but the creepers are coming. The zombies and spiders are still coming at him. He's able to fight it off and get good loot, and they're doing it. They're running towards the house. They're making it. They're getting closer and closer and closer. But then the dog is so far from Charles that the skeletons don't care. They came in and trying to hurt Charles, and they hit him. 3 of them. But his dog, with his eyes turning red, became malicious. He didn't speak, but his body language said, I've had enough of you hurting my master. And so he lashed out in a red fury, his eyes glowing red, his teeth growing sharper. And he attacked, he bit, and he fought. saving Charles' life. But by the time Charles was able to catch up to him, the last skeleton that was there was able to get one good hit on the dog. And the dog didn't make it. So that's when Fluffy died. Charles, filled with rage and filled with anger, killed everything within a mild radius. They didn't have to worry about making it home safely. Charles was filled with so much rage, he killed everything. He destroyed everything. Explosions, lava buckets, everything was destroyed. Everything was lit. Everything was malicious. And when I say everything was lit, I mean as in the sense of the lava, the light, all of it. With this being said, Charles said, never again. Charles said, never, ever again will this happen. So he read all the books about fishing and all the things he needed to know. And he looked up mass amount of knowledge about tritons and anything that had to do with underwater. And that's what he did with his spare time. He still is forgetful. He still is joke, but he's a lot more serious and determined. Yeah. And that's where the flashback ends. As DK realizes he's made it to Lord James' house.